Hey, in this video, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to first talk about the fill handle, what it is, how to use it, and how it can save you lots and lots of time. And second, we're going to talk about the difference between relative and absolute references in Excel, and how knowing the difference between the two and how to use each one, you might say strategically, you can really expedite the process of creating spreadsheets. You can usually, for example, if you have a very repetitive equation, you can enter it once instead of hundreds or dozens or however many times you want to do it. So we're going to use this very simple data set here, which is completely made up numbers, but it'll serve the purpose. We've got column A. Column A has factories. We've got 14 factories scattered around the United States. Each of these factories are within a region. We're not going to worry about the region for the purposes of this particular video. In column C, we've got total sales. What is the total value of the stuff that's produced at each of these factories? And in D through F, we've broken these total sales down into different categories. Some of their sales are hardware, some of their sales are software, and some of their sales are services. Now, let's say that we want to compute the percentage of total sales for each factory that come from each of the different production types. So we want to know, for example, percentage hardware sales, percentage software sales, and the percentage of services. Now, to create this percentage, let's just do G2, which is the percentage of Birmingham's total sales that are hardware. It's a simple matter of equals D2 divided by C2, right? That is hardware sales divided by total sales, and that gives us 30.76 or 30.7%. Now, what we can do is, if we wanted to know that same figure for Dover, Las Vegas, Columbus, and so forth, we could repeat that equation. Equals D3 divided by C3 equals D4 divided by C4. This is going to take a little bit of time, and you can imagine how fun this would be if you had 400 factories or something of the like. Would be nice if we could accomplish this all with one equation. It turns out that we can. What we're going to do is we're going to put our G2 as being our active cell, and we do that by just clicking on it like that. And if you look at the border around G2, you look at the very thick border, in the bottom right corner there's a little square. That square is the fill handle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our cursor, which right now is a big fat cross, and we're going to hover it over the fill handle. And we'll see that our cursor turns into a very skinny cross. That means that we're ready to start filling. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag down, and I'm going to select cells G2 through G15. And when I do that and I let go, it is going to copy this equation into all of the equations in that row or in that column, which is very useful. So I've written one equation and it's done the job for 14. Now, look at H2. We now want to know the percentage of total sales that are software. Well, can we do the same thing? Can we take this and can we drag it across? The answer is no. And the reason why is because Excel defaults to relative references rather than absolute references. What does that mean, relative versus absolute? Right now, it's in relative reference form. And that says D2 is 3 cells to the left of me and in the same row. So that's what G2 is saying, right? G2 is saying I'm going to take whatever is 3 cells to the left of me and I'm going to divide it by whatever is 4 cells to the left of me. And that's going to be what I do. And so when I drag down, it kept saying 3 to the left divided by 4 to the left. Now when I drag this over, it's saying 3 to the left divided by 4 to the left. Software sales divided by hardware sales. But that's not really what I want. What I want is equals E2 divided by C2. So how can we deal with this? How can we fix this? Well, we can switch to using absolute references. And the way that we do that, let's go ahead and delete all this, is we're going to use the dollar sign. Now the dollar sign essentially locks in a particular row or column of a cell reference. So what I can do right here is I can say I know that in C2, I want to divide E2 by C2. All right? And so that's saying, all right, I still want 3 to the left, but I want to make sure I keep in C the whole time. So I can modify this equation by changing C2 to $C2. And so that's going to say, all right, look 3 cells to the left of me and don't go up or down any rows. And then look exactly in column C, but keep looking in the same row I'm in. All right, so if I put a $sign there, it would say always look at exactly cell C2, don't let that change. But here I'm going to say keep looking in the same row as me, but always look in column C. Now I can take this, I can copy it over, and what do I see? I get exactly the result I want. E2 divided by C2, F2 divided by C2. I can take these, I can drag them down, and now I've got the answers that I want. So by simply writing one equation, and we'll do that right now, right, equals D2 divided by $C2, I can write all 42 equations at once. All right, now let's do one more thing with our references. And what we're going to do here is we're going to calculate the share of total sales that is attributable to each factory. So let's create a column here, factory share, like that, and let's go ahead and create a total row. And it doesn't have a region. And here we're going to tabulate, we're going to add up the total sales for each of the factories to get us total sales across the whole company, right? So we could simply do equals that plus C3 plus C4 plus C5 and so forth. This is a fun equation to write, and that will give us the right answer. But you can imagine that if we had more than 14 total rows, this would be a bit of a pain to write. So let's learn a shortcut, and that shortcut is equals sum, open parentheses. Now what I'm going to put inside the parentheses is a range. I'm going to choose a range of cells, and what Excel is going to do is it's going to look at everything in that range, it's going to add them up, and it's going to spit out a number. And there we go. So that's a nice quick shortcut for adding stuff up. Now what I want to do over here in factory share is calculate the total percentage, percentage of total sales, right, the percentage of this $170 million number that is attributable to Birmingham. So that would be equals 12 million divided by 170 million. And there we go. Now, can we drag this down? We'll see what happens. It's going to give us an error divided by 0 divided by 0. Why is that? Because again, we're dealing with relative references. It's saying go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cells to the left. Take that number and divide that by whatever is 8 cells to the left and 15 cells down. And so when I go here, it keeps saying, all right, 8 over and then 8 over and 15 down, which is blank. And Excel doesn't like dividing by 0 because it's technically impossible. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to our absolute and relative references. Now, in this column, let's go ahead and write another one, equals C3 divided by C16. And let's compare these two equations. In both cases, we want to go 8 cells to the left. But what we want to do here is we want to keep using row 16. All right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to put the $sign in front of the 16, and that's going to tell Excel to lock in row 16. So when I take this and I drag it down and click, we can see that it's going to preserve that row 16 in each of these equations. And it's going to keep using the total sales, however, from each factory. So this is going to give us the answer that we want. And again, what we've done here is we've written one equation, we filled that down, and we've written 14 equations at the same time.